Hello everybody, Sandra here with Outside the Box Soaps. Today I'm going to be doing a soap loaf which is going to be scented with, what is it scented with again? It's scented with brown sugar and fig, and that is from Bulk Apothecary. So I'm using today olive oil, I'm using coconut, I'm using some hemp seed oil in here. I have some sweet almond. I also have some mango butter. And I've also added some canola oil. So I'm going to be using some additives. I'm going to be I put some kaolin clay into the fragrance. That will help to keep the fragrance in the bar. I also have some colloidal oatmeal that I'll be adding, along with a little bit of goat milk powder, a scoop of goat milk powder. So I'll be putting that in. And my colors, I'm going to be using the tall skinny mold for this. And I am going to be working on a hanger swirl because I've heard that the tall skinny molds are good for doing butterfly swirls. So this will be my first time doing a butterfly swirl in a tall skinny mold. So that's where we're headed, and let's get started. Just going to strain my lye water. I do have some silk in here, and I've also used some sodium lactate. And there's some castor oil in here too, which is one that I think I may have forgotten to mention. Okay. And I of course don't want to overmix. I'm hoping this will be nice and fluid. But with a butterfly swirl, it's a funny thing. You don't want it real fluid, because it does need a little bit of body so that those colors don't just muddle all together. So now I've put my additives in here. Give it a couple bursts to get that stirred up. And I think we're getting close to emulsification. Not a trace yet. I certainly don't want it to be a trace. And my plan here is to have the soap base brown because of the brown sugar. And I'm going to do the butterfly segments by adding in some green, and I've got a reddish purple because figs on the inside do have a sort of a reddish purple color to them. I'm a big fan of figs. I have a fig tree that I grow, and I love picking the fresh figs off of there every year. And I'm also going to add some titanium dioxide, some white, to this. So that we can get a nice contrast against what's going to be a mostly brown color. So let me just put this down here. I'm gonna just stir a bit because I still see a little bit of oatmeal that's loose, and I don't really have my whisk tool here. It might have been a good idea to do that and have that ready so that I can incorporate this oatmeal in, but I think I'll get it in through stirring. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. So So now I'm going to add some to my color cups. This will be my green. This will be my reddish purple. And then I'm going to add in for the white, my titanium dioxide. So let me get those stirred in. The brown is going to go into my my primary bowl. So I just want to make sure I get all the color incorporated. So let me do all the color mixing and be right there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my kaolin clay, which is in with some of my oils and my fragrance. So we'll put a little bit in each cup, and the majority will go into the bigger pot. It looks like some of that clay didn't dissolve quite enough. So we'll just get it out. And then I'm going to stick blend these just a little bit, just to get the fragrance incorporated. Especially that it had a little bit of clay in it. Okay. And it's interesting because the batter itself, because of the hemp oil is very green. So it did add a green tint to a little bit of a green tint to the titanium dioxide portion. Not a terrible mess, but a little bit of a tint. And so next up is my figgy green. And this is actually, I think, a celery green from Mad Oils that I have in here. All right, and then this is a violet blue. And I did add a little bit of tomato red to this, just to give it a little bit of a red tint. I don't know whether that's really going to come out in the finished product or not, but we'll see. Okay, and then to go to my brown sugar. So, should have everything all nice and mixed in at this point. The colors, the fragrance, and all of the additives. And I'm going to take a look at this because I don't really want to pour it terribly thin. Because I don't want the colors to get mucked up together. So, I think I'm going to give this just about 5 minutes or so to sit before I start to do my my molding. I think that it will just help in the end if it's not really runny but just has a little bit of body to it. I think it'll help me to get the result that I'm shooting for. So we'll give it 5 minutes here. Okay, so I think I'm ready to get started. I definitely don't want to push it and have it get too thick. So I'm going to lay down my brown sugar. And it looks like a nice brown sugary color. So I'm pretty happy with that. And just going to tamp it down a bit. Get rid of any air bubbles. And I just tamped it, splashed right out of the mold as it was tamping down. So did it a little too hard maybe. Just a little. Okay, so some bubbles, 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 bubbles. Let's see. We can just get that nice and even. Alright, so then the next that I'm going to pour in is I'm going to use the lavender first, and I'm going to sort of do this along one side. And it looks like I may have waited too long. Waited too long. Alright, so there's that. Let me stir up my green. I think the fact that it's going to get all done up with the hanger will make it all okay in the end. So we're going to put the green in there. And then I am next going to use my white. And guys, I think the butterfly has flown. Don't think I'm going to get that design out of it. But that's okay, because I think it will still be a nice soap. So we'll do just the rest of what I got left in the cups. I think that extra few minutes that I waited was a little too much. You know, live and learn. And I'll leave a little bit in there. Just for decorating the top. Okay. Tamp, 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 tamp. Okay. And then I'm just going to take what's left of my brown sugar here. You know what? Actually, I think I want to swirl it first before I do that. So, all right. So here we go. The hanger is going in. So I'm going to put it down into the bottom. Well, all the way down. Going to swish back and forth. Swish back and forth. And now I'm going to start doing some circles, and I'm going to bring it gradually up to the surface with my circles. And there we go. So it may not be a butterfly, but I think it's going to be a pretty interesting pattern from what I can see here. And then the last thing that I want to do is to just take what's left here of the brown sugar, just sort of lay it on the top. I don't really want it to sink in so much. I want to just sort of make a brown sugar layer across the top, if you will. And it looks like I've got a little bit more soap than I need for this mold, but that's okay because I will just make a nice puffy kind of top to it. And I can see I've already got some green showing out, so let's add that. And I can plop on what is left in these cups. Try to get a little bit of each color across the whole loaf, so each bar gets a little bit of something. So this is going to take a little bit, so I will bring you back once I've been able to do all the cleanup. Okay, so I've got a nice puffy, ploppy top on this, and there was just a bit more soap, I guess, than I needed for the tall skinny mold. But what I'm going to do is try to use my the skewer to get a little bit of color mixing going on, and I think there's just so much up here at the top that we're not going to see it necessarily right now, but I think I'm going down far enough to hit on some of the color plops that are in there. It's just that there was so much brown left over that we're not really going to be able to see it right now. So let me just see if I can pile this high. Now that I'm looking at it, had I known, what I could have done was to pipe it on the top, and that probably would have been a nice finish to this particular bar. But hindsight is always 20/20, as we know. So now I'm not using any special tool at all. I'm just using my finger, and I'm trying to sort of lap the soap up on top of itself. This way, when I go to get it out of the mold, I won't be fighting all of this stuff on the edge. I'll be able to break the seal without a whole lot of pressure, because these are kind of tough to get out of. I found, at least the last time that I used this mold, it is a bit harder to break that seal and to actually get the soap out of the mold than it is with some of the wider loaf mold. So I'm just going to clean up my edges here, and it is anybody's guess as to what I'm going to get when I cut it, but I will certainly put up some pictures and you will be able to see the finished product. So that is my brown sugar and fig, and I thank you for watching and thank you for your time. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down on the bottom, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with everything that we're doing here at Outside the Box Soaps. So I think I may just add a little bit of gold glitter to this just to sort of touch it off, but in for a close-up. So here's what it looks like right now. Okay, so thanks again, see ya, and happy soaping.